Cal from Thorne Harbour Health. So I've already shown you how to do, the sock face mask, and I showed you how to do one with like a handkerchief. Now, if you've got a sewing machine handy, you could theoretically hand stitch this as well, even if you've got like a little sewing kit like one of these ones, which you can get at like Kohl's or Woolies. But I am gonna use a sewing machine for this one. Now, there are a lot of different patterns out there. You'll see the surgical mask style, which you make off of a square and then you pleat. I'm gonna make one which I'm calling sort of the diamond pattern, and that'll probably make sense in a minute. But that works a little bit like this, and it'll have earpieces over, and that'll fit behind your ears. But I'm gonna show you how to make this diamond mask today. So for this one, you just need at least 3 layers of fabric. If you want, there are guidelines around using like more weatherproof fabrics. If you head to the Department of Health and Human Services, they have some guidelines around fabrics that you can use. So for your outer layer, you could use something like even a recyclable bag from like one of the Enviro bags that you would get at like the grocery store. For the inner layer, you could use something like muslin cloth, or if you've got like a canvas bag, so for instance, like, can't use this because it's off brand, you can make that into your inner layer. And then for the layer near your face, you want to use something that's relatively soft because it's going to be rubbing against your face most of the day. So you use something like a t-shirt. You could even use something like a pillowcase. So here's one that I found and I just sort of slashed open, got ready to go. But basically you want 3 layers, right? So what you're gonna do is then, I've also made a pattern. You can make this pattern out of paper, but I've made it out of extra spare canvas or muslin. And what you do is you make a diamond, right? And so this is kind of your pattern that you're gonna make to all your other pieces. So that's kind of the shape that we're gonna work with here. And I can give you measurements on this, and you'll be able to get more details on this on thorneharbor.org/face masks. And that also has a guide for how you care for cloth face masks as well. So the nice thing about when you're making these ones is that your hands don't necessarily have to be super clean this whole process, because you're gonna chuck this in the wash before you wear it the first time. Now, if you need one to go on the go really fast, head over to the other video around the sock face mask or the handkerchief face mask. And that one's for something quick and easy you can do right away as long as you've got clean materials to work with. So we've got our 3 layers of fabric, and probably good to hit them up with the iron real quick. So you've got your 3 pieces of fabric, right? What you're gonna do to make your diamond, and I'm gonna do each piece individually here, is I've got this piece. This is gonna be the inside, so we're not actually gonna see this piece of fabric. So you can use a piece of tote, you can just use another piece of one of the other fabrics that you're already using. And I've got my pattern here. This is my diamond pattern here. So there to there, 19, 17 and a half that way. You got 10, and then both of these are about 5. So just that bit there. But ultimately, pretty symmetrical. You've taken your piece of fabric, you folded it in half. This kind of top bit of your diamond needs to go right against that edge, because we're gonna have this double on itself. But then what you'll do is you'll use like a marker. You can use fabric pencil. This is gonna be hard to see. You mark the whole thing out. And if you're feeling, adventurous, you can actually just straight up, cut right then and there with it. Take that off. Now, that'll look like that. So that's 1. So folds there. Top of the diamond, along with fold. And if this isn't quite long enough, it's not going to be a big deal. And we'll see that when we go to sew it. Got that other piece here. Our diamond. So now we've got our 3 layers, okay? All right, so I know that I want this one to be against my face, and I want that one to be on the outside. So I'm gonna do the outside layer. This is gonna be the part against the face layer, if you will. Those are. And then you're gonna put the middle layer. This will be the part that we actually don't see when the mask is finished, all right? And the reason we put that in this order is gonna make sense in a minute when we go over to the machine, because we're gonna tilt this whole thing inside out. But we'll go over to the machine and sew this. So we've got those laid out as before. You've got your middle layer, then your face side, and then the outside. What we're gonna do is we're gonna sew a stitch here, turn, sew a stitch here, and do the same on this side. So from here, sewing down, going to that end. We're gonna leave these ones alone for now. So we're just gonna do a V here and a V here. Let's do it. Now we're going to take the entire thing, turn it inside out. So again, you're going to go between the outside layer and the part that's going to be beside your face. Okay, and so now that you've got this pretty much laid out, what we're going to do next is what's going to be the part near the seams near your nose and your chin. So because this is going to be part by our face and this is going to be the outside part, what we're going to do is fold that down, and then we're going to close off here and we're going to close off here. And look, that might not be super beautiful. That's okay, it doesn't really matter because you're not going to ever see it really. Take the other side, do the same thing. Trim off those extra threads. And again, doesn't need to be a gorgeous seam. We're all right. So now what you do is turn that inside out. And like I said, if you want to tidy that up, you can, but it doesn't really make a big difference. Now you've got the outside of your mask here. What we're going to do the last step in the sewing portion is we're going to take and make basically what the little loops are, the tunnels for your elastic loops around your ears. So for this bit, you probably want to do, I'd say if you were going to measure that, you're probably about 2.5 centimeters in. You want to have the fold there. So 2.5 centimeters fold there. And you can line it up roughly. And now with this, what we're going to do is we're going to make a stitch. We're going to just make one stitch along there. You could do a C if you wanted to do a C, but probably just one stitch there is probably enough. It'd probably be beneficial to backstitch that a couple of times just to make sure that you reinforce it. See, that part's visual there. And now we've got our little tunnel to put the elastic. So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And that is actually the sewing portion. So you can see your mask sort of already taking shape there. You know, if you don't want this to show up, maybe use something that's a similar color. And look, it's not exactly perfect because that's a little bit crooked, but not a big deal. Then the last bit is literally just the elastics. So you're gonna get your elastic. Again, this is anywhere from like 18 centimeters, 20, 21. You're probably gonna wanna base that off of your own size of your face. And you just put that through. And if it's not quite getting there, you could use a pair of tweezers. You could even use the edge of your scissors. In this instance, just because I have them handy. You just want to push that through. And then you're going to tie that off. Again, you want to probably try to get that knot as close to the end as you can. And this little knot here, super easy. Just hide it. Just move it around and hide it in that little tunnel there. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. And this is the great part, is that the elastic will probably wear out at some point. It may stretch out. Maybe you didn't get the length right. Whatever the case may be, you can always go back and replace it. Whereas some of the patterns you'll see out there, it sews it into the mask, which kind of makes it a permanent fixture. This is great because you can replace these elastics periodically if you need to. Again, take that knot. Let's just hide that away into the little tunnel. And your mask, my friend, is pretty much good to go. Now, Basically, you only want to wear this for maybe up to like 4 hours total. If it gets damp, you're going to want to change it out. Again, there's handy tips on the Thorne Harbour website, thorneharbor.org/face masks, for all the things you need to do to take care when using a reusable mask or using a surgical mask. If you've got any other questions, feel free to head to that page. You can also see the other ways. If you don't have time to do this whole sewing version, you can also find out how to do the sock mask that a lot of people are wearing at the moment, or the handkerchief mask. Those are all available on the Thorne Harbour website. Hope you found that useful. Feel free to share accordingly.